Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Natalie. This is Be a Free Spirit. On this channel, I focus on the self. So bringing awareness and growth to every area of the self. So for those of you who are familiar with my channel, hi. I know this is a different video, a new kind of video. So I wanted to kind of explain really what my intention is with this type of video and really what I'm wanting to do. So, I really wanted to do like a little small series where I could talk about topics that I'm learning or topics that are very present to me, kind of like think of like a podcast. But I struggle with ADHD, so I have a hard time watching people talk about, topics and stuff like that. Sometimes my brain just can't pay attention. And I feel like as a society, even if you don't have ADHD, I think because our society is just so fast and because we can access things so quickly, I think most people have a hard time paying attention. So I wanted to kind of incorporate a video where, they're not more than 30 minutes and it's always going to be self-development topics. So always around things that I'm learning in my schooling or, things that I've realized or things that spirit has told me or whatever the case is, really just whatever is present for me. I just want to be able to share as I'm learning and as I'm growing and as I'm experiencing, because I know that could be helpful for somebody else. And I wanted to voice over, this kind of knowledge and these topics with something that was visual. So for me, on my free time, I listen to podcasts and play games like The Sims, which is what you're watching right now, or games like Parkitect. And, I know not everyone may be interested in games, but kind of just look at it more is just kind of something visual to watch while you're listening, right? It really helps your brain actually retain the information that you're listening to, because you're actually able to focus. Your eyes can visually watch something that's pretty, right? And something that's kind of coming together. Your brain likes to do that. But then you can actually be listening to something that's going to impact your life and something that can help bring something positive to your life. So yeah, I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you guys think of this. I know it's different than like spirituality content, but I wanted to put it on this channel because, again, my channel is not just about spirituality or tarot. My channel focuses on self-development, right? Self-development of the self, and that can come through a lot of avenues and topics. So yeah, I know this is different, but you'll have to let me know what you think about it. I really just wanted to have a place where I could kind of share and also be creative. Okay, so that's a little bit of the intro. I just wanted to make sure you guys kind of knew what this was going to be. And if this doesn't interest you, hey, that's okay. I offer lots of other different content on my channel that hopefully will tickle your fancy a little bit more. But today's topic, the topic I really wanted to talk about, is making space. I've talked about on my channel, especially lately, how important this has become in my life, as well as what I'm just kind of realizing making space does for somebody. So I kind of talked a lot about it in a video that I made about reprogramming my self-acceptance. So if you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the cards, because that's really where I learned a lot of this lesson of kind of being present to where I might need space. So when I say space, there's kind of 4 areas that I identify with. So I'm talking about physical space. So that could be, if your environment feels cluttered, or if your environment feels, I don't want to say tight, but I guess kind of right. Like you just feel like the energy doesn't flow through your environment. And that can be your home. That could be your workplace. We're just talking about physical space. Like if you feel like you don't have enough alone time because you're constantly with people, right? It can just kind of feel like that physical space around you is kind of like, ugh, it like suffocates your energy. So that's one way. Another way of space is energetic, right? So we all know energy and the way that we may feel. If we feel drained, it may not always be something that is emotional or mental. It could be energetic. And then there's emotional, right? There's not enough emotional space because maybe you're dealing with a lot of different things or you haven't worked through some of the emotions. And then there's mental space. So, if you have a lot on your plate, sometimes it can be hard to even think about something new or a new project. And that's where I think people don't realize, because space, when people hear the word space, our human brains automatically want to think about seeing it physically with our own eyes, because that's what space has meant for us as a human society, right? Is space is usually something that we can see, but it's more something that we can feel. And I've just kind of realized throughout my spiritual journey and self-growth journey that making space for yourself and knowing where you don't have space can be very important. And it's actually extremely important when it comes to your boundaries and your self-respect, because if you don't have space in an area and you're giving up so much of your time and so much of your energy to all of these different places where you don't have the available space, then you're not going to feel motivated to do anything. And this is kind of where I get passionate about, I feel like people are really not following what they truly want to do. And I think the really big, of course, there's a lot of reasons why, but I think the biggest root why people don't follow their passions and their ambitions is because they don't have space to do it, right? If you talk to somebody about oh, what did you want to do? Oh, I really wanted to do this, but it didn't happen. And well, you could still do that. And people are like, oh yeah, no, they can't even comprehend having to add something else to their plate. And that's, it's unfortunate that this is what our society has really taught us, that obviously they don't want us to have space, because if we have space, then we're within our power, we're able to make decisions because we have the space to do so. So how I want to kind of give you some tangible ways to really pay attention to when you don't have space available. So let's kind of go through all four. So let's kind of start with physical. So you really want to pay attention to, okay, it's all about coming to your awareness, right? If you are feeling super overwhelmed in general, the first place to start is examine where you don't have space. So kind of looking at your environment, your home, is it cluttered? Is it messy? Because that could be literally step one to open up some space for energy to move through. Because if your, physical is blocked, that can really block a lot of areas. And really, if one of these spaces, are so overcluttered, it affects every single other space. So it's really just about, do you need to clean up your space? Do you need to, take a break from your space, right? For those of us who are still quarantined, or those of us who are working from home, right? Do you need to take a break from your physical space? Is it blocking you? The energy still has to flow. We don't want the energy to be stagnant. So think about, if it's physical space for you, what you can do to change that. Okay, let's talk about energetic space. So this one is, where people cleanse with Palo Santo, and sage. It's really just as easy as when I notice I don't have energetic space, it's usually when I assess, okay, my environment is clean and not cluttered, so it's not physical. And then I kind of think about, is it mental? Is it emotional? And when, none of those are really feeling like it's the main root, then I always know it's energetic. And that's the hard thing, is you can't identify specifically what the energetic space, what's taking up the most space. It could be healing, it could be your intuition. And so it's you really just have to set the intention out loud with spirit by saying, hey spirit, can you help me clear out my energetic, whatever is holding up and cluttering my energetic space? Can you kind of help me clear that out? And spirit will do that, right? Mother Earth will do that. So there's not a lot that you might have to do to clear your energetic space. Obviously, cleansing could be important, meditation, yourself the best. So it's important, if you're not familiar with how to make space for yourself, it's important to think about, okay, how do I ground myself when I don't have energetic space? How can I ground myself? So you might have to figure out, your own practices about specifically what you do to kind of I guess, cleanse your energy. So that's kind of energetic space. Now, mental space. I think this is the one where most people don't have space available. And, mental is probably, I can't say it's the most important, but it is important because we're humans, right? And the mental space is part of the human part of it. And so it's like, it's important to, if you have so much on your plate, if you are falling into hustle culture and you are overworked at work, or you're overworked in school, or if your brain, if you literally have headaches because you just have so much coming in, or you have so much that your brain has to work through every single day, then it's too much, right? It has to be a balance. Your brain doesn't need to be constantly going all the time, right? So that can also come into effect even if you overthink a lot, right? If you're overthinking, that takes up a lot of your mental space, because you could be overthinking about things that aren't in your present reality right now. And I think that's where most people get caught up. So when I notice I don't have mental space, the best way is to create free time. Okay. If I notice that I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm like, I just can't learn anything else, or I can't talk to people because I literally can't hold a conversation because I don't have space, I just have to create time for myself to be at peace, right? To actually not focus on anything. And again, I feel like this is the one that people don't have, a healthy relationship with, because we are so taught in our society that hustle culture is the way to go. So it's really important to assess that. And then lastly is emotional space. So really thinking about being present to your emotions. Okay, you cannot ignore them. Every single emotion is beautiful, and I definitely plan on talking about that in another episode, just about, the importance of feeling every emotion. We don't have to be happy all the time. That's toxic positivity that sometimes I think can go around in the spiritual community. It's important to always be grateful, right? And to always see positive things, but that doesn't mean that we always have to be like, well, let's just be happy and ignore our emotions because that will be better use of our time. No, you need to feel the emotion. It's there for a reason. So that can be one way that if you don't have space, it's because you're not actually feeling the emotion that's present for you right now. So it's going to keep taking up more and more and more and more of your space until you feel it. That is completely the truth. You will not be able to get away from it until you actually feel it. It's just going to get worse and worse and boil over. So it's important to be present, okay? To be present to what you're feeling. So all of this really just comes down to awareness. You have to take a deep breath and don't make sudden decisions, right? Just be able to take a deep breath and assess consciously where you don't have space, because once you make space, you're able to make choices, more actionable choices that come from a place of patience, that come from a place of stillness, that come from a place of your soul, not the ego quickly reacting out of fear or scarcity or kind of all of these limiting mindsets of basically fear, right? That's the root. So anyways, that's kind of like the 4 categories when it comes to making space. So I wanted to really kind of talk about that, because I feel like making space is the best thing that you can do to kind of move yourself forward if you feel like you're in a rut, or you feel like your energy is stagnant, or you feel like things are stuck. Assess, okay, do I need physical space? No. Okay. Do I need energetic space available? No. Okay. Emotional? Maybe. Okay. Mental? Maybe. So it's like, just assess until one feels right, and it could be more than one, right? And I know it sounds really complicated, but it can really be such a natural process as long as you just give yourself the time, okay? I can't stress that enough, that when you're feeling like something is off, right? And we all know what that feels like. Just take a breath and be like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? But it's a lesson that I'm still learning, and obviously it's not something that I'm perfect at, and it's, I think, a conscious thing for everybody to kind of be like, okay, what do I need right now? And sometimes when I don't have space available in more than one place, sometimes it is hard to be present. And it is hard to ask myself what I need. But then I do kind of remember that it is for my greatest good to change my energy if I need to, right? To give myself space in areas that I need to. So I'm just patient always. No expectation. Just try to be more conscious about how you can support yourself, because that's really what it comes down to. Making space available benefits you the most, but it also benefits other people, because when you have space available, you can be your best self. You can go after what you want. Everybody is more just within their alignment when they have space available. And I'm excited as society is changing and as the age of Aquarius is really coming forward. I'm excited that I can see hustle culture and these different things are starting to break down, and people are being actually encouraged to take time off, to take time to take care of themselves, right? And do what they need to get that space back. So this is, the first kind of little episode of this little series. I'm calling it like Nat's Chats, just to kind of give it, I guess a little catchy name. But yeah, again, like this is just an area for me to be creative, for you guys to just kind of watch something pretty. Other games that I like to play that you'll probably see come in this like little series is The Sims 4, a game like Parkitect. It's kind of like Roller Coaster Tycoon for 90s babies out there. Just games similar to that, right? Very creative, visual, pretty games type of thing. So yeah, if you guys have any topics that you're really wanting me to dig into, or you're wanting to know more about, or you just like to hear me blab about for 10 minutes, then definitely leave me a comment down below. But also just let me know what you guys think of this. I'm really excited about it. So I'll see you guys in the next video.